My name is Daniel. I'm technical support for By Demes Ireland, and today I will talk about Hyundai LPR camera. Specifically, I will work with model HYU444. I'm going to go through programming parameters and show you how you can configure it via web browser and UVMS. First, I'm going to start with opening the camera here on our web page. Look at it. A IP bullet camera. LPR has a IR of 50 meters, 2 megapixel. Also has a motorized lens from 2.8 to 12 millimeters, and has a micro SD slot, which you can use to storage if you don't have your camera connected to your recorder. Camera should be installed and pointed in a specific position where it can more or less directly face the license plates. Best place would be like some kind of choking point, ramp in a parking lot or somewhere similar. So on where and how to install LPR camera can be found on in a manual, and you can find this manual on a page here, so Hyundai-security.tech. Aside from all the other manuals and apps, you can also find a couple of manuals. One of them is for LPR camera. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole manual as it's pretty much self-explanatory, but it's going to tell you some basic stuff like what height you should use for the installation, what kind of angle should be used on a license plate, how you should see license plates in the final process through the camera. It should be pretty much straight, so you should kind of angle the camera that way. Real examples here as well, and so it's going to tell you about some basic things like what storage you can use, what parameters you should use for a picture, and one of the important things is what exposure settings you should use depending on environmental brightness here, as you can see, and vehicle speed. Other things like backlight settings, all kinds of. There's been a few tests, so you can read about that here as well. It goes pretty in depth with all the settings. In my case, test case here, I have a camera connected to a PoE switch where it's being powered from, and it's also the PoE switch is connected to NVR, which is a HU382. Already tested a few other things, few other cameras on the same recorder. Now I can see my camera settings through either recorder's web interface or directly on the camera's web interface. I recommend going directly to camera's web interface or using UVMS for the setup. The options will be slightly different depending if you're using camera's web browser or recorder's web browser. So for that, I'm going to use Internet Explorer because I don't have to mess with plugins. I'm going to open both of them. My recorder is on 253. I'm going to log in with my default login details. I'm also going to open the cameras on 230. Now I'm going to start with the interface, as I believe it has a few less features than the cameras one would have. Now, aside from the usual stuff like live view, playback, and we also have picture. Now, picture you would use. Show you here. So my camera 2 is my LPR camera. Have your vehicle detection here, and I'm just gonna change country to Ireland. And if you choose your time, now I already did a couple of tests with, I had a paper with a couple of license plate numbers printed on it, and I did some tests. So I should have some tests here, as you can see on the list. Now in the recorder web interface, you can see this plates populate the list. You can see the same thing on camera's web interface, but you don't have this live view option. Now live view would be basically a capture of the plate. Now if you press this, with this window you can't really enlarge it or anything, so you gotta use these things over. Now this is what it captured, and it did the same for all the other plates. Use this list to download these captures. So if you press tick, you got an option here, download. You press download, and it's gonna be saved somewhere on your computer where you've chosen it to be downloaded to. You can also search a specific plate, specific license plate, by entering the plate in this field. But what you're not going to use in this field are the dashes that connect letters and numbers. So if your license plate is 141-CE-1788, you're going to write it here like this, 141-CE-1788, and press search. It's going to give you results on the list. That's for that. Next one is configuration. You know you're probably familiar with all the other settings here, but what I want to show today is vehicle detection. Here, I'd rather show this on a camera web interface. So let's switch to the camera web interface. This picture tab here would be slightly different from the recorder's interface. So on this interface, you got to choose vehicle detection here, and then you got the same option. You can choose to search it by a specific plate, or you can choose to search by date. Here, you don't have the live view option here, like you had on a recorder's interface. Configuration, road traffic, and here you got some settings. Make sure that you have enabled the vehicle detection, and after that, what you do is you choose where your camera will search for license plates. Okay, so I just had a general area because it's not facing any road or anywhere where the cars would go. So I had it randomly chosen here, but what you do is this will be your left border. So let's say this cabinet is one lane. So what you got to do is you got to place this left border here. Then if you only have one lane, you put it here and you press save, and it's gonna make a box here. It's gonna search for license plates in this area. If you have two lanes, the left border, line 1 and line 2, and save. Same thing. Now make sure that if the road is kind of angled, you gotta make sure that this thing is positioned so the plate will fall into this area. Switch it back as it was. choose region, so where the license plates would be originated from. So I don't think this matters a lot, but it's on default EU and the CIS. And choose your license plate width here. And select few modes here. Nothing really too critical. Next tab is picture. This is how your picture will basically, when the picture is saved, this is the picture quality and font color and things like that. Another important thing here is a blacklist and whitelist. So here you can import a file, you can browse for it, and you can import it. You can import a file with blacklisted and whitelisted license plates. So you can connect your camera's inputs outputs with this list, and basically the camera can operate, let's say, a parking ramp according to this list. So if you whitelist a specific car, it's going to let it in. If you blacklist it, it's in. It's much simple as that. Now the next tab is kind of useful, I guess, if you want to set something up. Now I already did some scans here, and I intentionally wiggle paper in all angles to see if it's gonna get the correct plate number. So I'm gonna just stand up here for a few seconds, and I'm gonna do the same thing again. I believe you could saw it here that the list populated with more license plate readings. Now, when I angled the paper, you can see here that it didn't recognize the license plate correctly. So here, what it recognizes is what is this? I2G410CI3. That's completely incorrect, as the angle was off, completely off. Now, in this case here, these last few, correct. Okay, these are the new readings here. These readings are correct. 04D59710. In this case here, well, actually, it is kind of okay. This one is correct as well. And yeah, that's correct. Now this one is incorrect. This one here. That's what I was talking about when that the angles are very important. And here on the right, you can see that it recognizes where the license plate is from. So it says Ireland here. This real-time LPR is very useful if you, I guess, you want to test your readings. Have to check your logs and whatnot. So that's one way of doing it. Would be with QVMS, which I just got to boot up right now. Disable this thing here if you want. You can also disable country for some reason. I don't see that as important. There. Boot up this app here. Boot up. So this is just another way to get your setup and everything. I'm just gonna kill this window off for now. I'm gonna go to control panel. Now I got this module here out already, but it wasn't out originally. So what I had to do is I had to go to this modules customization and find it on the list here and place a tick there and press OK. When I did that, I got the license plate retrieval module out here, and I can use it for my thing. Now when I go here, you gotta find your camera first. So my camera is here. Choose it, and I can search today. What's gonna happen here is I'm gonna have a list of all the readings, and if I, let's say, well, this reading seems correct, so if I click on this reading, you'll see me there. And what I got 4 license plates on one paper, but it doesn't really matter. It only registers on this picture, registered only 1. So if I enlarge this to here, I'm gonna see that plate number 04D59710 was captured in this shot. That's the one I have here. You can also, which is very useful, you can also play back this moment here. If you press this play button in the bottom window, you can see me coming in with the paper, and in real life situation, this would be a car. You'll see the car rolling by, and see, you compare the license plate with the car. You can see it. Actually, I deleted the whole database, but it's gonna store quite a large number of license plates. I have only 13 of them. It's kind of hard to see, but you can sift through the whole database by clicking these little arrows, choosing the page where you want to go. This is pretty much basic stuff wanted to mention regarding these scanning results, but I also want to show just a little bit about the exposure settings. What you're interested in is video. I think it's better if we go here. We can do it here. Configuration. So you have it here under the image. To image settings. Wait. Check this now. So many options here that I got, and I get lost sometimes. Searching for is the exposure setting on the camera. Actually, you can set these on the recorder. That might be the best way to do it. Oh, it's here actually under CCD. Okay, so exposure. You can change your exposure time. This is what you can find there on the web page that I mentioned. Here. There we go. Exposure settings. If the vehicle is speeding, then you want to adjust exposure settings. Even though there are some tests that if the speed is above, I believe, 35 miles per hour, that you gotta slow the shutter down. Basically, trial and error. You gotta keep trying and adjusting these settings until you get it just like you need it to operate. You get right, but once it's right, then it's great. What you need is exposure times. You can adjust these here, and could be useful as well. These are the settings. This is pretty much basic stuff about the LPR cameras. Now covers most of the stuff that you gotta set up if you want to get the readings. Now, I don't know if you got any questions, Ronnie, or this is pretty much clear. It should be simple as that. If anything is not clear. Well, yeah, if you're going with the if you're connecting the camera to NVR, yes, you need NVR that supports VCA functions. One of them would be license plate reading, but you can also, if your camera, so if your camera is LPR, you don't actually, sorry, I'm confusing myself. No, if the camera is LPR enabled, that's all you need. So you can basically use what I showed you in the browser. You can actually, I might be able to show you like this here. Let me check. I didn't, now I got the camera connected through the recorder, but once I use the SD card, so if the camera is, if you're only using the camera, you need to have, let's say, SD card in it where it's gonna store all the images. Then when you have that, you can pull all the images off the SD card. You don't need to have any specific NVR. But if you're going through NVR, then I'm going to check that for you. But I think only the camera is important for these captures. You have the camera, and then they're stored on the recorder. You can pull them from the recorder or one of these apps like VMS or the web interface, and that's all you need. I'll give you a wrong answer now. Test every possible situation, but I will test it. Other questions? I have that SD card in the camera, so I know that. But check if there's an NVR which also could produce the number plate readings without the need of the. All right. I understand what you mean now. Okay. Well, actually, this one. Let me check this. Yeah. Of course. Let me check this one here. Actually. But where is it now? Oh, it's in Chrome. Okay. 382. Okay. Well, as you can see here, my recorder is not LPR enabled. So I'm not going to be able to test with this one. But I'm definitely going to ask a question to my colleagues that have one in stock. They can check this, check your question. Questions, Ronnie? How far can it be away? Well, this is something that I think we should pull from this manual here, because it really depends on the vehicle speed and is it day or night and so on. I know it was tested up to the review I watched. It was tested. I believe the vehicle was away and there was no issues reading the license plate, but the shutter had to be adjusted, because if the shutter was too fast, then it would catch the whole thing. When it was slowed down, then the meter's no problem as long as everything is set up correctly, the exposure and so on. That's the part where you gotta play with the exposure setting to get it right, because if you get it right, you'll only see kind of capture of the license plate and maybe a headlights from the car. If you don't get it right, it's gonna, well, I'm talking about the nighttime right now. There should be no problem at all. Because I know definitely that was tested up to 100 meters for nighttime, and there was no issues. Of course, in that case, the camera was perfectly aligned with the license plate, so there wasn't any issues. Well, budget is important with these things. Yeah, I know. Any other questions? Actually gonna copy your first question just so I don't lose it. I got it, and as soon as I'm sure about the answer, I'll get back to you through the emails or whatever. Okay, well, new training is gonna be Hyundai access control, and it's gonna be very, I think, around in 2 weeks' time. I'm gonna be talking a bit about access control. I don't know which model I have right here. I'll have to check, but in 2 weeks. Thank you all for being here. I mean, and yeah, see you soon.